Hi everyone. Before I get into what this video is about, I want to read you something I read from an article. Clinical depression. What is clinical depression? Clinical depression is the most severe form of depression, also known as major depressive disorder. It isn't the same as depression caused by a loss, such as the death of a loved one, or a medical condition, such as a thyroid disorder. What are some symptoms of clinical depression? Depressed mood, such as feeling sad, empty, or hopeless. Reduced interest or feeling no pleasure in all or most activities. Insomnia, which means you have trouble sleeping. Trouble concentrating and memory loss. Headaches, persistent aches or pains. Digestive problems. Thoughts of suicide or suicide attempts. And that's just some of the stuff. That's not all of it, but I wasn't going to go through that long list. So, why am I telling you this? My name is Jasmine. I'm 26 years old and I suffer from clinical depression. I was diagnosed when I was 20 years old and I've been dealing with it ever since. It's been going on 6 years. A lot of people don't understand how severe clinical depression can be, or they don't understand it. And it is a sickness. It is something that is very serious, and oftentimes it can be hereditary. It can be passed down from, your mom or your dad or whoever. And I'm making this video to, make people aware of this. That that it is something that is serious and it's something that a lot of people go through, but it's not talked about often enough. And I'm also making this video to tell you a story about my experience with it. The worst year I've had dealing with clinical depression, which was last year. As people, we already go through life situations. We go through adversity, and that's just life. That's just going to happen. But when you go through life situations and you add clinical depression on top of that, and you bottle all your emotions in, you don't really like to talk to people about what's going on, it can become very, very dangerous. There was a lot of stuff going on. I had just recently lost my sister. She was 6 years old. She had cerebral palsy, and she died in her sleep. And that was something that was really just sudden, that we weren't expecting to happen. And that put me in a really bad place. It was a lot of stuff going on back to back. I lost my job. There was family issues, I wasn't seeing eye to eye anymore with somebody I really love and care about. It was just a lot of stuff going on. And it just made my depression spiral into the worst it's ever been. I stopped eating. I stopped talking to people. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have clinical depression, you can have insomnia, and I had it really, really bad. And it started to get worse. And when I finally did fall asleep at night, I would have really bad nightmares. And I think the worst thing in the world is, you go to sleep and you have a nightmare, and you wake up and you feel like you are living that same nightmare. It had got that bad for me. I just felt hopeless. Like my life was in complete, total darkness. That's how horrible things had got. And something really bad happened to me. I overdosed on prescription medication, and I ended up being in the hospital in the intensive care unit for a whole week. I had a heart rate of 160, and if you don't know, a normal adult heart rate is 60 to 100, so 160 is pretty high. And there was a point in time while I was there, I couldn't even walk for myself. I pretty much almost died. They told me, if I hadn't got to the hospital in the time I did, I would have been dead. And that was the lowest point in my life. Being in that hospital, being attached to all those IVs and and a heart monitor, and not being able to walk for myself. It was it was the lowest point in my entire life. And I'm a very spiritual person. I do believe in God, and I love to pray and read his scripture, and I love to go to church, but I was really angry at God at that time. I was really angry because he knew beforehand, I was already at a low point. And it seemed like the more I prayed, the more I believed I was going to get out this situation, the worse things got for me. And so I was really, really angry. During the time I was in the hospital, I had a lot of doctors and nurses and people talk to me, and a lot of them said the same thing. God kept you here for a reason. You have too much purpose. You have too much to live for. You haven't seen your best days yet. So, I really wasn't trying to hear that. Is that cat outside? Sorry about that, y'all. I really wasn't trying to hear anything anybody had to say at that point. I just felt hopeless. But one night when I was in the hospital, it was real late at night. I decided I still wanted to speak to God. I asked him, why did you keep me here? Why couldn't things get better? Why do I feel like things are never going to get better? And he kind of gave me clarity that night. That he did keep me here for a reason. That my life does have a lot of purpose. That I'm supposed to. There's things I'm supposed to do that I haven't done yet, and that's why I have to still be here. And I ended up not being angry with him anymore after that. Things were still hard. They didn't go back to being, good or wonderful after that. But little by little, they did start to get better. I started seeing help for my situation. I did decide, to receive help for my depression. And that was very hard for me to do because I'm very stubborn and I don't really want people's help, but I needed someone. Everyone needs someone. And I kept believing in God. I think that was is the most important thing. I kept believing that God was going to pull me out this situation. I kept trusting and I kept believing, and I would wake up in the morning and I would look in the mirror and I would tell myself, I love myself. Things are going to get better. God is going to get me out of this situation. And I'm not telling you all this because I want you to feel sorry for me. I'm telling you all this because I want you to know that whatever you are going through, you can get out of it too. It doesn't matter if you have clinical depression. It doesn't matter if you have a drug addiction. It doesn't matter whatever life situation you are going through. God can get you out of any situation. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on to your own understanding. And even for people who are seeing this video who have different beliefs or don't believe in God, you still have to have a faith and belief in yourself that you can get out of any situation, because you can. You have to keep fighting. You have to keep believing that what's going on now is not going to last forever. You have to literally speak life into yourself. Stop speaking what you see and start speaking what you want to see. You have to literally do that. And I promise you, things will start to get better. And one of my favorite people, I think, in the world is Ellen DeGeneres, and I'm gonna tell you why. If you don't know, she has a daytime TV show, and she's always so happy and dancing around and full of life, and she's always giving to others. Well, she went through depression at some time in her life, but look at her now. She has a #1 daytime show on television. She's happy and she is full of life. And I'm telling you this because you just have to believe that whatever you're going through, you're going to get out that situation. Anyone can get out that situation. I got out of that situation because I trusted and I believed. And I just want other people to believe that too. That you can get through anything, because you can. Thank you for listening to this video. I hope it helps someone.